town by town, city by city, and that the government is fully committed. Now we're seeing the Turkish president coming to the podium.
I have to jump in here, Yusuf, because Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan is approaching the podium. Let's listen in. He's also attending the Victory Day parade in Baku.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanı,
Distinguished President,
aziz kardeşim,
my brother,
Azerbaycan Silahlı Kuvvetleri'nin kahraman
and
mensupları,
the heroic members of the Azerbaijani Armed Forces,
can kardeşlerim,
my brothers and sisters,
sizleri en kalbi duygularımla,
I'd like to
muhabbetle,
greet all of you with my most
selamlıyorum.
heartfelt emotions and my deepest regards.
Bu zafer gününüzde
On your day of victory,
sizlerle beraber olmaktan
sharing this occasion with
büyük bir
you,
bahtiyarlık duyuyoruz.
I'm very pleased to share this
İlham
day with
Aliyev
you.
kardeşime
I thank my brother Aliyev
ve
for
misafirperverliği
his kind
için
invitation as well as his warm hospitality.
Azerbaycan'ın 44 gün süren
Azerbaijan
destansı mücadelesinde
had a legendary struggle for 44 days,
Cenab-ı Allah'tan rahmet,
and I wish God's blessings on the souls of the martyrs who fell, and I wish a healthy and speedy recovery to the wounded. As poet Vahapzade says,
senin oldu bizim Karabağ, adı sahibini demir mi aşkar? Hoşlukla vermezler toprağı, ancak kanla mühürleyip zorla alırlar. İsa bulağının zümzümesini, Cabbar'ın, Seyit'in, Han'ın sesini, Dalgalı Karabağ şikestesini, Babek türbesini nice pay verim. Karabağ 30 yıllık hasretin ardından
after a longing of 3 decades, Karabakh is now once again united with the mainland thanks to the troops of the Azerbaijani army, who I should congratulate. I also kiss the hands of the mothers who sent their sons to the front lines of the battle with prayers.
20 Ocak'ta
On 20th of January,
kabirlerine bırakılan karanfiller
we left flowers at the graves of the martyrs, which remind us freedom. And now,
Azerbaycan topraklarının özgürlüğünü
the freedom and liberation, it has now become the symbol of the liberation of Azerbaijani land, Karabakh.
diplomasi alanında
Both in military and diplomacy, Azerbaijan has won victories, and of course the greatest share of that belongs to my important brother,
Aliyev'e aittir.
President İlham Aliyev.
Kardeşim İlham Aliyev böylelikle merhum Haydar
Thus, my brother
vasiyet olarak bıraktığı
is fulfilling the will of Haydar Aliyev's will. And on this occasion,
Umummilli lider
the leader which laid the foundations of Azerbaijan, Haydar Aliyev, I also commemorate him. Azerbaijan,
İlham Aliyev'in dirayetli
thanks to the leadership of my brother İlham Aliyev,
destan yazmaya
will continue
edecektir.
making history.
Kıymetli kardeşim, aziz Azerbaycan halkı,
And my brothers and sisters, the Azerbaijani public, Turkey
en başından
has given its support since the beginning with all of its institutions and with all of its means, has been right next to its Azerbaijani brothers and sisters and supported them in their cause. As Turkey, in our relations with Azerbaijan, we always act in the perspective of one nation and two states, which was first put forward by leader Haydar Aliyev.
Gazi Mustafa Kemal Atatürk'ün veciz ifadesiyle
As our founder, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk says, Azerbaijan's suffering is our suffering and Azerbaijan's joy is our joy. And with this perspective, for 30 years, Karabakh it was a wound in our hearts. And today, we are sharing the joy of the curing of this wound, and we're here together in order to celebrate this glorious victory together. The Azerbaijani land has been liberated from occupation, but that does never mean that now the struggle is over. So far, in political and military areas, a struggle was conducted, and from now on, that will continue in other battlefronts. In 30 years of occupation, these places have been demolished and taken down, as we have witnessed. And as my brother Ilham Aliyev says, in this city of Fuzuli, there is not even a building found in order to put the flag on, because all cities have been taken down, or all villages have been demolished. Even the cemeteries have been damaged. Mosques have been taken down, and the minarets have likewise been taken down. Some Armenians, as they demolished everything, they also damaged natural resources. They pillaged historical and natural assets. And of course, all this has to be accounted for. During the war, in Gence, Terter, Adam, Berde, and Acebedi, some Azerbaijani land, like these settlements, these villages, have also been targeted. 100 innocent civilians have been martyred, and children were left without parents, and parents lost their children, and 416 of our brothers and sisters were also injured during the fight. The law of war has been breached, and human dignity has been stepped on. There are those who are blind both in their eyes and in their consciences, because they're blind to these facts. And it is on our shoulders now, it's our responsibility to bring all of these to account for all of these facts. They have been away from their homelands for many years. We have 1 million brothers and sisters who have been longing for their homeland and their birthplace, which are now growing impatient to go back as soon as possible to their birthplace. And hopefully, as soon as possible, their longing will come to an end.
Aziz kardeşlerim, Dağlık Karabağ yıkım,
Nagorno-Karabakh suffered massacres, tears, and demolition. And those who brought nothing but these three should now come to their senses. Armenian leaders are using the sources of the public to keep Azerbaijani land under occupation. But these resources should not be spent on weapons or lines of defense, or to the plans of leaders which are greedy. In that case, the picture currently would be very different. Armenian politicians have to analyze this very carefully and start brave steps in order to establish a future which is based on peace. The Armenian people have to also be careful about the diaspora, which has condemned them to poverty in the past. On the encouragement of Western imperialists, nothing can be achieved, and rather than enmity, relations should be re-established based on good neighborly relations. The Armenian people, if they draw lessons from what has been experienced in Armenia, this could serve as the beginning of a new era in the region. My brother Ilham Aliyev, despite all the suffering experienced by the people of Azerbaijan for a lasting stability, is putting forward a very praiseworthy approach. And these intentions of goodwill are also backed by us, and we hope that they will be considered by the counterparties. Thanks to the sacrifices of the martyrs, Azerbaijan has thankfully re-established its territorial integrity. Azerbaijani land from now on is now reached the waters of the Terter River, which it had been longing for many decades.
Şuşa'nın dağlarının başındaki duman artık dertli değildir.
The mountains of Shusha are no longer suffering.
Artık özgürdür.
Or other places, they're now liberated.
Köndelen çay
Or Köndelen River is now going to be more glorious.
türküsünü daha güçlü.
Aras will be able to sing its songs more strongly. Or people who are singing the songs of Karabakh are going to be louder and more decisive now. Aras was taken apart.
Senden ayrılmazdım. Zor ile ayırdılar. Aylaçın, canlaçın, men sene kurbanlaçın. Güzelliğine kurban olduğumuz laçın artık özgürdür.
Now these places are all liberated,
Şuşa gibi
like Lechin or Shusha, Fuzuli, Cebrail, Zenginan, Kubatlı, Adam, and Kelbeçer. They're all now liberated.
bugün Azerbaycan'ın
Today,
milli şairi, büyük mücahit
as the national poet of Azerbaijan, Ahmet Cevat, today his spirit is high. His spirit is elevated. Nuri Pasha, Enver Pasha, or the Islamic Army of the Caucasus, or the brave troops, martyrs, their spirits are elevated today.
Mübariz İbrahimov'un
Or Ibrahimov's spirit is today elevated.
bugün hepimiz için
Today, for all of us, for all the Turkic world, is a day of victory and of pride.
bizlere bugün
I thank God for giving us such glorious days.
bugün burada
Today,
tüm kalbimle
with all my heart, once again, I'd like to repeat,
Karabağ,
Karabakh
Azerbaycan
is Azerbaijan. Karabakh
artık ana
is now one with its mainland after a longing of 30 years.
bundan sonra
And from now on, as Turkey and as Azerbaijan, our goal is to make this land more prosperous, more developed for our children, a more livable place for future generations.
Azerbaycan
Turkey and Azerbaijan, when they are shoulder to shoulder,
zorlukları
thankfully, they will continue overcoming all obstacles and reaching new achievements, and may God help us. And as I conclude my remarks with such sentiments,
değerli kardeşim
I congratulate all Azerbaijani public, as well as my brother, the President Aliyev,
Azerbaycan
as well as the glorious Azerbaijani army, the Turkish army,
tebrik ediyorum. Aziz şehitlerimizi
and once again,
rahmette yad ediyorum.
God's blessings on the souls of our martyrs and a healthy life to our veterans. Thank you.
Allah'a emanet olun.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan speaking there in Baku while he's attending the victory parade following the Nagorno-Karabakh victory in Azerbaijan. Erdoğan repeating once again that Turkey has always supported Azerbaijan and that he is very pleased to share this special day alongside with his counterpart İlham Aliyev. Also, once again, repeating that Turkey and Azerbaijan are one nation with two states. To analyze all this, I have here TRT World's editor-at-large, Yusuf Erim, in the studio with me. Yusuf, what do you make of Erdogan's speech? Quite a festive atmosphere there in Baku, as we expected.
Yes, the normally stoic Erdoğan cracking a smile, the Azerbaijani president, İlham Aliyev standing, giving Erdoğan a standing ovation, smiling. Obviously, this very celebratory event, jubilation, of course, a solemn moment for the martyrs who lost their lives, the 2,783 Azerbaijani soldiers who were killed during this liberation operation. But now, today, a celebration of this massive achievement of liberating what accounts to 20% of Azerbaijan's territory after the 3 decades of occupation, Nagorno-Karabakh and the 7 surrounding territories. Now, the Turkish president gave many important messages. I think the most important message was celebration throughout the Turkic world, he said, not just Turkey and Azerbaijan, but expanding the jubilation that is being lived right now in Baku as we're looking at the skyline on our screens. Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and even further east into many of the Turkic republics. So this sense of unity, this hereditary tie amongst Turks, and also seeing 2 flags with the crescent moon and star. Jubilation across the Islamic world as well. This is a very important show of unity between 2 countries who are majority Muslim, Sunni Turkey and Shiite Azerbaijan, standing together in this very important military achievement. And then the Turkish president also talking about the rebuilding of Nagorno-Karabakh, also very important to Turkey to see this area being reintegrated into Azerbaijan's economic space. But I think the most important message that the Turkish president gave was to Armenia. He said, hopefully Armenia learned a lesson from its history and from what has happened in Nagorno-Karabakh, and he wants to see Armenia reintegrated into the region, reestablishing ties with Azerbaijan, with Turkey, and this is an opportunity for Yerevan right now to be able to extend or receive the olive branch being handed to it and reestablish ties with Baku and Ankara. And this can create tremendous opportunities for all 3 actors and create very important win-win scenarios that can help Yerevan reinvigorate its economy, that can provide opportunities for Azerbaijan and for Turkey, because cooperation in this region is very, very important, and Yerevan has been out in the cold for far too long.
Exactly. This ceasefire in Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan's victory will change a lot geopolitics in the region itself. I want to go back to these pictures that we are seeing from Baku. We were talking earlier, Yusuf, it's very interesting to see 2 militaries marching together. We don't get to see this that often.
Oh, definitely not. The last time, I can't remember the last time a foreign military was so welcomed in the capital of another country, receiving standing ovations. The public very, very happy to see the Turkish military there. The Turkish military standard, the Oriflamme, being raised up high as Turkish soldiers are carrying it throughout and marching in this parade. And the only equivalent event I can think of is the American landing at Normandy during World War II. I can't remember another time when a local population was so happy to see foreign troops. So this shows the strength of ties between Azerbaijan and Turkey. This shows the Turkish armies what it means to the Azerbaijani people, supporting them throughout. Even though there were not Turkish soldiers fighting in this military operation, we know that the Turkish army and the Azerbaijani army have very close military ties, a lot of joint military exercises, and also many Azerbaijani soldiers coming to Turkey to receive their training as well.
Right. What was the reaction from other countries following the ceasefire in Azerbaijan? As Erdoğan mentioned there, finally the country, Azerbaijan, has restored its territorial integrity, has the future, can leave this behind. But what do other countries think about this situation?
Now, after a 3-decade failed diplomatic process, Azerbaijan unfortunately had to apply United Nations Security Council resolutions and OSCE Minsk Group resolutions via a military solution. Now, obviously, the ideal outcome would have been to have a diplomatic solution, but unfortunately, it didn't pan out that way over the 3 decades. We saw a tremendous amount of diplomatic failure by the co-chairs of the Minsk Group, the United States, Russia, and France. And we have been seeing many provocative statements coming out of Paris, especially, and some other Western countries wanting to review the ceasefire agreement, or also claiming that Armenia had rights and whatnot, trying to maintain the status quo of the past 3 decades. But that's over now. And at the end of the day, this area, which is internationally recognized as Azerbaijan's soil, has been brought back to Azerbaijan, liberated an important amount of economic space, and now it's time for the rebuilding process. So at the end of the day, people need to respect the realities on the ground, and the reality on the ground right now is that Azerbaijan has retained and liberated its soil, and this needs to be respected in Western capitals.
Okay, Yusuf Erim, thanks so much for that. For now, thanks you for breaking all this down for us while we are watching these festivities in Baku. Now we can see the march there. Talk us through a little bit. What are we seeing here at the moment? Just briefly, Yusuf.
Well, right now we're seeing both militaries, their military band playing very festive music as they're marching through the streets of Baku. And before we saw the Turkish delegation, I was trying to recognize some of the faces in the Turkish delegation. They were obviously wearing masks. We saw the Turkish Defense Minister, Hulusi Akar. I also saw the Turkish Presidential Communications Director, Fahrettin Altun, was there. The Trade Minister and the Foreign Minister was also there, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu. I believe the head of Turkey's National Intelligence Agency, Hakan Fidan, was there. Turkish presidential spokesman Ibrahim Kalin seemed to be there as well. What we're seeing right now is some Azerbaijani soldiers with crutches in their hands, most likely veterans of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, and the beautiful Baku skyline as well we are seeing right now.
Yes, and the two flags marching together, Turkey's and Azerbaijan's, quite remarkable. Yusuf, thanks so much for now. Now, several human rights groups like Amnesty International have presented evidence that Armenia used banned cluster bombs to attack Azerbaijani city. Well, the attack on the city of Barda in October killed at least 21 people and injured dozens. To discuss the issue of war crimes and the atrocities committed by Armenia, I'm joined now by Ahmed Shahidov. He is the head of the Azerbaijan's Institute for Democracy and Human Rights, and he is in Baku for us. Ahmed, thanks so much for your time. A big day for your country. I believe you are in a great mood. We are watching these pictures coming into us of that victory march in Baku. But now, following the ceasefire, Ahmed, do you think the Armenian forces will be held accountable in international courts for the crimes committed in Azerbaijan?
Good afternoon, greeting from Baku, and thank you for having me in your program. We are witnessing very significant day and very important message made by the presidents of Azerbaijan and Turkey, Mr. Aliyev and Recep Tayyip Erdoğan. And today is a very important day for Azerbaijan, for our state and for our people. I would say that we are living the most glorious day of the last 100 years, and the strength of the Azerbaijani army is demonstrated in today's military parade. And as a human rights defender, regarding your question, I want to underline that during this and before this war, Armenian side used to violate the ceasefire in front line on the state border between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And I think that Armenia had committed war crimes in Azerbaijan, against Azerbaijan, by targeting peaceful settlements, by targeting civilians, civilian infrastructure on front line, and during this 44-day war, more than 100 civilians were killed by Armenian armed forces, and during Armenian armed shelling of Azerbaijani civilian settlements. And this is also war crimes. Another evidence of war crimes committed by Armenia is that during this war, Armenia destroyed all natural resources of Azerbaijan in occupied territories. They fired all natural resources, cut off the trees in the forest, and fired all houses, and they used phosphor bombs during this war, and all these facts documented by Azerbaijani side, and Azerbaijan will appeal to international organizations, to international courts, and will demand financial, how to say, from Armenia. And,
okay.
I think that
Ahmed,
Armenia will.
I want to jump in here. You know, as you were mentioning, the conflict left thousands of people in Azerbaijan internally displaced. There is a lot of work to be done. We heard there from Erdoğan and Aliyev both saying that they will focus on the reconstruction moving forwards so everyone can go back where they belong. How is this reconstruction process going so far? And when do you think the IDPs will be able to return home?
You know, after the victory of Azerbaijan in this war, all Azerbaijani people are talking about the future of Karabakh, and regarding the future of these Nagorno-Karabakh and other liberated territories. I can say that Azerbaijan has a lot of work to do in the next years, and 2021 will be more important for Azerbaijan as well. And the main issues will be, first of all, demining of these territories, because Armenian side have left thousands, hundreds of thousands of mines in these territories, and so that's why the main issue will be demining of these territories. Then the return of Azerbaijani IDPs to their homes, the revival of life in the region, and the reconstruction of infrastructure in Karabakh and surrounded territories. Large-scale construction and restoration works will be carried out in Karabakh and other territories liberated from Armenian occupation. In this regard, President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, has already signed his first degree, and according to this degree, all historical and architectural monuments, mosques and churches destroyed in Karabakh over the past 30 years, including houses, infrastructure services, will be restored. And because Armenians had destroyed Azerbaijan's historical and cultural heritage in Karabakh, but Azerbaijan will restore all monuments, mosques and churches in the liberated territories, and the historical and cultural beauty of Nagorno-Karabakh will be restored. Nagorno-Karabakh will once again become a center of world tourism. And Turkey will play a very significant role in this process as well. Azerbaijan has signed several agreements with Turkish construction companies, with Turkish firms in this regard, and Turkey will play a very important role in construction and in restoring these territories.
Right, Ahmed, many work still needs to be done in Nagorno-Karabakh, but both presidents there mentioning that they will do everything so that people can go back as soon as possible. Ahmed, I do want to ask you, you know, as an Azerbaijani, how do you feel today as your country celebrates its victory 30 years after the occupation? How do you feel today when you see these pictures coming in from the military parade?
You know, we are living the most glorious day of the last 100 years, because the winner of the 44-day war which began on September 27, is Azerbaijan, and today on December 10th, the Republic of Azerbaijan is holding a victory parade in Baku. So far, many military parades have been organized in Baku before, but today's parade is the most beautiful and significant. More than 3,000 servicemen is taking part in this parade. About 150 military equipment, especially new military equipment, modern weapons, missile and artillery devices, air defense systems, as well as warships and boats is being demonstrated in this parade. For us, the importance of this parade is the participation of the Turkish armed forces as well. Brazil and Turkey, which has always stood by Azerbaijan, is with us on this happy day. And as Erdoğan said in his speech, we are one nation with two states, and much has been said about Turkish-Azerbaijan relations, and these relations have a long history. The Turkish army, which liberated Baku city from occupation 102 years ago under the leadership of Nuri Pasha, is still in Baku today, and we are witnessing it. And from September 27 to the present day, we have felt the support of Turkey every day, every hour, every minute. And Turkey, with a population of 83 million, was with us, and we finally won this war. Turkish-Azerbaijan relations are unique in the world, I can say. We are literally one nation, two states, and we demonstrated this once again in today's military parade. And Turkey is the only country that, despite all the pressure from the European countries, from some organizations, stood by Azerbaijan and stands by Azerbaijan today, right now. And the two countries cooperate closely in all spheres of life. And the relations between Turkey and Azerbaijan are at a very high level in political, military, economic, cultural, and regional issues. And after the victory in Karabakh, relations, I believe that the relations with Turkey will further develop, and Turkey is expected to participate in the restoration of the liberated territories, construction and the construction work in those lands. So the stand of the Azerbaijan army is being demonstrated in today's military parade, and the servicemen who took part in the 44-day war are in military parade as well. It's very important for us. We are proud of them, and this military parade is also dedicated to the souls of 2,783 martyrs, because we are indebted to these Azerbaijani martyrs who died for this victory. As you know, in the 44-day war, Azerbaijan lost 2,783 servicemen, 1,500 servicemen were wounded, and more than 100 were missing. And as a human rights defender, I can say that intensive work is underway to exchange prisoners of war and hostages through Russian peacekeepers and the International Committee of the Red Cross, and I hope the fate of our missing servicemen will be clarified in the coming days. In general, this 44-day war changed the perception of war not only in the South Caucasus but all over the world. Many countries are already beginning to understand Turkey's growing role in the world, and the world defense industry is beginning to accept the importance of Turkish-made weapons, especially drones. And today, Turkey is seen as an important power not only in the region but around the world. And many countries are seeking to partner with Turkey, with official Ankara. And the war in Karabakh and its aftermath have once again showed that the world is bigger than five, and that Turkey must be directly involved in a just solution to the world's conflicts, ongoing conflicts, and Turkey's authority and power must be used to make decisive decisions not only on conflicts but on the future of mankind in general.
Okay, Ahmad Shahidov, he is the head of the Azerbaijan Institute for Democracy and Human Rights. Thanks so much for that, Ahmed.
Thank you.
Okay, let's cross now to Baku. TRT World's Yasin Eken is at the parade. Yasin, what's the mood there where you are? What's happening?
Well, Nafisa, needless to say, it is actually really cold here in the Azerbaijani capital, but just looking across from where I am right now, there are thousands of people gathered here to follow the parade, which has started, it has begun, after Presidents Erdoğan and President Aliyev delivered their speeches, the speech delivered by a leader victorious. He said, referring to people that thought it wasn't possible, people that opposed Azerbaijan's incentives or aspirations in Nagorno-Karabakh region, he said that they said fighting was not possible, that it would not be a solution, but we showed them otherwise. And that is exactly what we saw over the 6-week period. President Erdoğan actually said something as well. He said, speaking directly to the people of Azerbaijan, actually, he said that we, the Turkish people, did everything, showed our full support in all of its